Right. So today's topic, we'll discuss about the loops, then sheet modules, and then workbook modules. First, what we'll do is we'll understand what are these loops, what are the topics we're covering here, and then we'll see some practical examples. Loops means repeating the same task multiple times. I have a task that has to repeat multiple times. So what are those tasks? Let's assume like this. I have 10 files. I have to copy data from those files and paste it in my one Excel sheet. So what I'll do, the process will be like this. I'll open one file, copy the data, paste it in my sheet, and then close that file. Next, I'll open another file, copy the data, paste it, and then close the file. So it's the same process. I'm doing it 10 times. Instead of writing a program, say 10 times, I'll have something called as loops, which will help me in repeating the same task 10 times. Without having multiple codes, just one code will repeat 10 times. So that is called as loops. In a simple way, loops means repeating the same task multiple times. Let's go and check the topics what we have. See here, we have different kind of loops, and I'll tell you how to remember these loops and then how to work on these loops. I given some examples here and explanation. I'll be sending you this PPT to you, so you can just go through that and you can work on these examples as well. Okay, let me close this. As I told you, I don't want to go with all this PPT training, so I'm just closing that. So what we'll do, we'll go to our Excel file and then try to understand the different kind of loops and start working on this. See, I have a file for you. I'll just show you what all things are there in this, and then I'll open a new file and start working on these examples. So here I have given different examples, different scenarios, how you can use this loop. So all these explanation is available for each program, and we'll be working on all these programs, and then we'll understand how these programs can be written. Let me close this file as well. I'll open a new workbook. So as we always do, let me save this. We'll go to that folder, save it as macro enabled file. Scroll down, macro enabled workbook, and say session. Done. Now we have to rename, say WKS loops, at F11. Here I'll rename my code name as well. Enter. Now let's create one module, that is standard module. Say mod underscore loops. First, what we'll do, we'll see a simple program where why we should actually use loops. So first I'll write one program here. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My requirement is this. I want to generate 1 to 5. So for this, what I'll do, I'll go here, I'll write one program, generate number. This is without loops. I'll say d5.value equals 1, wks loops dot range of d5.value is equal to 1. Next, what I'll do, I'll just copy the same thing and I'll paste it here, and I'll say d6.value is equal to 2. Let me do the same thing. I'll go here, I'll change this to 3, 4, and say 5. This one I'll change it to d7, then d8, and say d9. So, yes. Now I have written a program wherein I can generate serial number 1 to 5. Let me delete this, and then I'll go back. I will execute this. See, F8 to debug. Say d5.value is equal to 1, d6 is 2, d7 is 3, d8 and d9 is 4 and 5. Done. My task is done. It is very simple. I finished my requirement. But what if my requirement changes? Now the client will come back and say, I want to generate 1 to 50. Now one way what I have to do is I have to copy and paste this 50 times, and then I have to change the serial number, which is not the right way of doing. Somehow I'll manage to do this 50 and I'll finish it off and the task is done. What if now the client will come back and say I want 5,000 times? Then it is really a boring work, or it is not the professional kind of programming. So in these kind of cases, these loops will come into picture. So how to convert this program by using these loops so that my task, or say the requirement, whatever is there, it will become easy. So how to work on these loops, that we'll do in the next programs. Loops means, as I told you, it is nothing but it will repeat the same, it will help me in repeating the same task multiple times. Keep in mind there are three kind of loops. One is for, do while, do until, which is clearly mentioned in the presentation. You can go through that. Again, I'll repeat: for loop, do while loop, do until loop. So three loops are there. In this, for loop will actually work based on the count. It will count how many times I have to loop. Whenever you have a situation where you have the count, the number of times I have to repeat the task, then I can go for loops. If you think I don't know how many times it has to loop, but it has to loop based on the conditions. Say if the value, or say if the condition is true or false, the loops has to run until the condition becomes true or false. Then I'll be using this do loop. In that do loop, I have do while and do until. I'll explain that in detail when you come to that program. Again, I'll repeat: loops will have three types: for, do while, and do until. For will work based on the count, do while and do until based on condition. Very simple. Okay, first we'll see how we can use for loops. I'll put here for loops counts. So what I'll do is, whatever program I've written here, this program will try to write by using loops. Say sub generate number by loops. First, let's understand the syntax. The syntax is like this: for incremental variable equals starting number to ending number, next incremental variable. If you go and check this, it says for is the keyword, incremental variable is nothing but it will count, it will keep increasing, and it will count how many times I have to loop. How the count will happen? That is by the starting number to ending number. Let's say I have starting number as 1 and ending number as 5. So what it will do, it will run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will come out of the loop. That means I am running this loop 5 times. Here I'll have the statements. You can have any number of statements here. So whatever statements I'll put inside this block, that will run the number of times I've mentioned here. This is the syntax. Now what we'll do is, we'll keep this syntax. I will just comment this and we'll start writing the program. Now first what I have to do, this variable, what you see here, incremental variable, has to be declared. Okay, first thing, when you take a loop, what you do is just take one incremental variable, just say it's a normal variable only, which will be used in my loops. I'll go here, say for inti equals 1 to 5, next inti. This is the syntax. If you see here, for the incremental variable, starting number, ending number, and say next the incremental variable. Here I need to give these statements. Statement means whatever I need to execute. In this loop, this will run 5 times. So what I'll do, I'll copy this code which says d5.value is equal to 1. Now this statement will run 5 times. So what does this statement say? d5 dot value is equal to 1. Let me go here. I will clear this, and now I'll start working. Say f8. See, it is 1. Again, it is going back. When it is going back, just observe this variable, incremental variable. If you keep your cursor here, it says 2. That means in the cycle, once it moves here, this will become 2. Now it is running. Again, it is saying d5 dot value is equal to 1, wherein this will become 1. Now again it is running f8. See, this will become 3. That means now it is the third loop. It is going. See, again d5 dot value is equal to 1. Now this becomes 4. See, now this becomes 5. Now this int I is 5. This is also 5. Once this int I becomes greater than this ending number, it will come out. Now what will happen? See, when I run this will become 6. That means in the end, but it will not go back because this has become greater than this. It is coming out. That means it will run 5 times and printing the same value in the same cell. That's what we are given. d5 dot value equals 1. But what I want is I want to generate the serial number. So what I'll do, let me copy this and I will paste it below. Now this is the second step. Now what I'll do, let me remove this syntax. So if you want, you can refer it here in this program. Now what we'll do is we'll do some slight changes in the above code. That is, instead of this 1, I'll use inti. So what inti will do, see here, this inti will be keep changing one by one. So I've taken this inti and I've put it here so that this will generate the serial number, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But where is it generating? It is generating in d5 only. If you see this, d5 is a fixed address. Now let me run this, say f8, it is 1. Now d5 dot value will become 2. See, because I've specified it as d5 dot value only. Now let me go here, see, 3, 4, 5, and it will come out. Now we went one step ahead. Here it was hard coded serial number. Here it got changed. Now what I'll do, I will copy this and I'll paste it. Now what we'll do some more changes here so that the row number also changes. Now only the serial number is changing. Now we'll try to change the row number as well. So what we should do here, it says d5. The next it should become like d6, d7, d8, d9, but automatically it will happen. How to do that? What I'll do is I will remove this row number. I'm just removing that row number. Here what I'll do, I'll say ampersand. That means I'm trying to append the dynamic row number. I'll put inti, as I know that inti is actually changing as and when it is running in the loop. Now if you see here, this inti will be 1, then again it will become 2, 3, 4, 5. Now in the first time when it is running, this will be 1. That means it is d ampersand 1, it is d1. But if you go and check, it will start printing the value from here. Fine. If I want the value to be printed from row number 1, yes, I can use this. But what if I want to print the value from 5th row from here? What I'll do, I just try to add some values, say plus. If I add 4, that will become 5. See, it will start from 1 plus 4, that is from 5th row. I just change, see here, d5, I made it as d ampersand inti plus 4. Now let me execute this. See, now inti is 1. If you go here, it's 1 plus 4. That means it is d5 dot value is equal to 1. See, now it is 1. Now it is going second time. When it is going second time, what will happen? This inti will become 2. So 2 plus 4 is 6. This is for the row number and this is for the serial number. There are two things here. One is row number, one is serial number. Now this is 2 plus 4. That means it is 6. Here I'm giving it as 2. Now if I run this, see, it will go to second value. Now if I go here, see, it goes on. Now it will run 5 times, it will come out. Fine. So what is the advantage of it? Now I told you, if my client comes and asks me to change the serial numbers up to 50, just change the ending number. That's all. Let me execute this. See, it will give me the serial number up to 50. Okay. What if he asks for 5000? Don't worry, just change the ending number. And if I run this, see, go here, it prints up to 5000. Save. This is simple for loop. Next, we'll see some more options in this. Slowly, we'll try to learn more options in this loops. First program, we learned about how to start working on these loops. Then we did some slight changes to make it dynamic. Then we try to change the row number so that we'll have the serial number. Let me copy this and I'll paste it here. Here, I'll say skip well. Let me take this up to 50. I will run this. So it is coming up to 50 here. See, 1 to 50. Let me delete this. Here, when I say for int I equals 1 to 50, this will generate the serial number. That is, it is going one after the other, say 1, 2, 3, 4. What if I want to jump the loop? Means I want to skip one number. Give a space here. I'll say step. When I say step, the step what you have here, this will help me in skipping the values. In this program, what you see, in this program, this actually has got step, but you're not mentioned here. By default, the step will be 1. That means it is adding one value. So 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 3. But here I can specify. If you want to specify, say I want to add 2 numbers, that is I want to skip, I'll say 2. When I say 2 here, see step 2. Here it is step 1. You can mention here step 1 if you want. Otherwise you can remove. By default it will be step 1. If you mention, it is fine. Otherwise also it is taking as 1. Now when I say step 2, what will happen? Just observe. Now I don't have anything here. Say F8 and I'll run this. This is 1. Now I got d5 dot value is equal to 1. Now when I go second time, now just observe what will happen. See here, this becomes 3. That means 1 plus this step 2. That is 1 plus 2, this will become 3. When I say 3, this int I is 3. 3 plus 4, it is 7. It will go to 7th row now. See? Now it goes on. See? Now if I run this, it will go up to 49. Why 50 is not coming? Because the next value will be 51, which is greater than this 50. So it is coming out without printing 50. This is step. Now let me go and change this to step 5, just for an example. See, if I run this, it will skip 5 values. See, 1 plus 5 is 6. Let's go back. I am getting the serial number, but the problem here is it is jumping the values. Say if I execute this, it is saying 1, 3, 5, 7. That is fine. So I'm getting the desired output. Why there is, but you can see that there is one gap here. That means in the row I can see some blanks. I don't want these blanks. I want the serial number to be odd numbers like this 1, 3, 5, 7. But I don't want the row to jump like this. I want this to be like this 1, then 3, then 5, sorry, 5, then 7, then 9, in this way. So without any blank rows. How to do that? That we'll see now. Next, taking this, paste it here. So how to work on that? So what I'll do is, see, I have an incremental variable, which is a mechanism in this for loop, which will automatically give. And this number, that is incremental value, whatever is there, that I'm taking for generating row number and my serial number. When I'm taking this serial number, say this one, say this should generate whatever value I'm giving this step to, but I don't want this row number to skip. It should go one by one, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For that I cannot use this inti because inti anyways it is jumping. So for this reason, what I'll do is I'll take one more variable which I will manually increase the values by 1. As I told you, for loop can have only one increment value. It cannot have more than that. But now I want more than one incremental value. Already this is skipping one value. So what I'll do, I'll go here inside this loop. I'll say intk equals intk plus 1. So what this will do, it will increase the value by 1. Say first it will be intk equals, this will be 0 plus 1. That means intk is 1. The next cycle, what will happen? Already intk is a variable. It will have value 1. Say intk equals 1 plus 1. That will become 2. So it goes on. So what we'll do is, Here this is for the row number and this is for the serial number. Since I want row number should not jump, I'll use this intk. And I'll just mention here to generate row number just for your reference. Let me save this. Now let's run this. See here. Sorry. I'll make it as 2. See, int I is 1, int k is 1. That means d 1 plus 4 is 5 and int I is 1. Okay, I'll say f8. That means 1 is generated. Now let's go here and take this. Now int I is 3 but int k is 2. That means 2 plus 4 is 6. That is 6th row. But int I is 3. So what it will do, the value which is getting printed here will be 3. See. Now if I execute this continuously, then I'll get the value something like this. To change anything, I'll go here. I'll say step 5. Run this. See. So here the row number will not be skipped because I'm not using this int I. Right. I'll save this. Now let's go here. I'll copy this and we'll see one more interesting thing here. That is reverse loop. When I want to reverse a loop, so what I'll do, I'll go here. This step I will say -1. That is, it is going in reverse. But keep in mind, whenever I'm using this reverse loop, the starting number should be greater than the ending number. Now I'll change this to 50 and I'll say here as 1. Now if I execute this, let me delete this. See, I'll try to execute. See, it will generate like this. Fine, let's go up. Let me make it as 2. Let me clear this and I'll execute this. See, it will generate say 50, 48. So it is trying to skip 2 values there. That is, it is starting from 50. 50 minus 2, that means 48. 48 minus 2, 46. It goes on. This is for the reverse loop. Fine. So what we saw now was to loop the row numbers. If I'm actually going loop top to bottom like this or bottom to top, I'm using this row loops. I can also loop towards this columns, that is from right to left or left to right. So how to work on these loops on columns, that I'll show you. So remember, whatever we have done till now, it is working for the row numbers or say row wise. Now if you want to do this for column wise, say I'll put here loop column wise. Say sub, let's say generate number, say loops, say column. Same thing, I'll say dim int I as integer, and here we'll take this for int I equals say 1 to 5. Next int I. Everything is same. So what changes we'll have here? See, let's observe one thing. If you go here in the row number, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But when you go to this column, it says ABCD. Here, I've taken this row number plus some value so that it will loop. But this is an alphabet. The column, what you see, this is an alphabet. So how to loop with this? So what we'll do is, we'll go here. Same thing, WKS loops dot. Now I'll not mention it as range, I'll take it as cells. Range and cells both works in a similar way, but here what happens is it takes it as address, but here it takes the column and row as index number. See, when I open the bracket, see here. So in Excel we get these parameters. So some of the functions will have these kind of parameters. So you can observe this and you can learn like this as well. Okay, so wherever you go, I'll be keep showing this wherever the parameter comes. Try to understand these parameters, but not always it will help you. But yes, like in Excel, what we have this parameters in the formula. For some of the functions or objects, I get these parameters, so you can observe that and you can work on it. Now, if you see here, it says row index and column index. Let's go and observe what is the row index number. That is 5. Let me go here. I'll say 5, comma. it lasts for column index number. Column index number means this one, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. Let's say I want to start from D5. So what I'll do, I'll go here, I'll say 4 dot value, okay, equals int I. When I say dot value is equal to int I, this will become like D5 as hard coded. Now if I run this, see, it is generating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this cell itself. But what I want, it has to go like this, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for that, what we'll do, this value, whatever is there, like what I did for row number here, I'll try to change the index number here. I'll say int I plus, I'll say 3, because int I is 1 in the beginning, 1 plus 3 is 4. Now let me execute this. See, 1. Now this int I will become 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. That means fifth column. Then I'll get like this. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. But some people will have one more doubt saying that this cells can I use for row numbers? Yes, 100% you can use these cells for row number as well. How we can use? Let me save this. Let me copy this code. I'll copy this and I'll show you how we can use the same code for row number as well. See, I'll put this as row. Let me make it as 5 only. So here it says loops dinti plus 4. Let me comment this so that you can understand. See, I can use range as well as cells both for looping row wise, but I should use cells for column wise. Let me go here. It says loops.range. Now let me remove this range and I'll use cells for looping row wise. Dot cells, open bracket. It lasts for row index number. Here I have to loop row numbers. So what I'll do, I'll say int I plus, let's assume that I want to start from fifth row. I'll say 4 comma, it lasts for column number. I'll say 4. Here D is nothing but this 4. This int I plus 4 is this row index number. Then I'll say dot value is equal to int I. That's all. See, both are same. Here I'm using this row number which I've taken here. This 4 is nothing but column D. So if I use range, it should be an address. If it is cell, then it should be index number, there is row index number and column index number. Keep in mind, always first you'll have row index number. See, open bracket. Can you see that? Row index number, column index number. Now let me run this. See, I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is for row and column. Let's go back. I will save this. What if I want to have say both together, say row wise and column wise? I want to loop like a matrix this way as well as this way. Then we have something called as nested loops. What this nested loop will do, this will help me in looping 2 times, that is looping inside a loop. So how to work on that? Let me just tell you what the scenario is. So I want to loop row wise as well as column wise. That means it should give me a table like this. So almost what 25 times it has to loop. Let's go back and we'll try to work on the program. Sub, I'll say nested loops. Let me take 2 variables, say dim intr as integer for row wise, dim intc as integer. Guys, again, don't get confused. I use this inti and here I'm using intr. This is just a variable. You can give any name. Again, don't think that inti should be used for loop. I have the practice of using this inti, so I've just given that. This variable can be used any name you can give here. So don't bother about that. Don't get confused. The name what I've given here, you can give any name for loops here. Okay, fine. Now we are studying about nested loops, that is looping row wise and column wise. So what I'll do, I've taken 2 variables. One is for row. I'll say int r equals 1 to 5 and I'll end this. Next int r. As soon as you start some block, try to end it so that you'll not miss the statements here, the syntax. This is one loop. Next what I'll do, I'll have one more loop here, say for intc equals 1 to 5 and say next intc. Let me give enter. This is one loop and this is one loop, that is intr. Please, when you are working on this nested loop, make sure that you will start and end there only. You cannot use something like this, say C and here R, see, because this int should end here only. Now if I just try to run that, see, it will throw error. So always make sure that you'll have something like this. Say I'll start intc and have to end intc here. Same intr, have to end intr here. Now this loop, what you see, this is the statement for first loop. Now I can go here and I can put a statement here. So I'll say wks loops dot cells, because here I'm using both row and column, and I told you column can be looped by using cells only. So what we'll do, we'll take cells only. It lasts for row index number. Let's say I want to start from D5 here. The row number is 5, comma, then the column is 1 2 3 4. I'll say 4 dot value is equal to, either I can take intr or intc. Let me take intc. Now here this will become hard coded, that is fifth row fourth column, fifth row fourth column. It will print the values in this D5 only, but I want to increase this, that is to increment this. So what I'll do, I'll try to change this. I'll say inti plus 4, and here for column I'll say inti plus 3. I just changed it. This is for row number, this is for column number. Now let me execute this. Say, sorry, it should be int r and int c. Let me run this. See, now this is the first loop, it will enter here. But since this itself is a loop, so this has to run 5 times. I'll go here, see, it will print 1. Now I given it as intc. Intc is nothing but this one. In the next cycle intc will become 2. So if I run this, see, it prints 2 here. Now it goes on, say 3 4 5, it will come out. That means this loop is over. Now what will happen is, it is coming to this second loop here. See, intr will become 2 now. That means it is running again. So this will run 5 times. Now once it is going here inside, this intr is 2, 2 plus 4 is 6. Then intc will become 1 now, because again it is restarting. See, it will go to next row and again it will restart. So likewise it will run 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5 till 5 times it will run, and it will give me the result like this. Fine, let's go back. I'll change this to R. Now what will happen? See, let me execute this. Say R is 1 now. So R will not change unless and until it's coming out of the loop. So what will happen? See, 5 times it will print 1 only. Why? Because intr is still 1. Now when it's going inside, now intr will become 2. Now it will print 2 in the next row. See, so when I run this, it will give me a feeling that, say, 1 2 3 4 5. In the previous code, it was giving me 1 2 3 4 5 because I used column number. Now I'm using this row number. Let me save this. This is for nested loops. Let me clear this. So for loops, if you see, I'm actually trying to use this count everywhere. See, everywhere I used to have a count saying that, say, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, or 1 to 20, or whatever. What if I want to do the loops by condition? Then let me go here, right click, and I'll say insert a module. I'll say f4 mod underscore, I'll say do loops. Let me save this. As I told you, the for loops are for counting. That is, if I have the number of times it has to loop, then I'll go for loops. What if I want to do the same thing if I don't have the count but have to do by conditions? I told you there are 2 things. One is do while and do until. Let's understand this. Very simple. Do while the condition is true. Do until the condition is true. That means do while will work if the condition is true, the loop will be keep executing. Once the condition become false, it will come out. Do until the condition is true. That means the condition what I'm specifying in until till the condition is false, it will be keep running. Once the condition becomes true, it will come out. It is just reverse. Any of them you can use. How to understand this, how to work on this program, I'll show you it. Say sub, first we'll work on do while loop. Right now I'll say int I as integer, because here I'll not have any incremental variable. So if you want to loop that, you have to use some incremental variable like what we used that intk. Similarly, I have to use it here. I'll say do while condition, and I'll say loop. This is the syntax. Do while condition, and this condition should be true. Then I'll say loop. Let me comment this, and here we'll start working on this example. Say do while inti is less than 5. Say loop. Just observe this. Do while inti is less than 5. That means this inti will be 0 in the beginning. Now here what I'll do, I'll say inti equals inti plus 1, just to increment. Otherwise this will be 0 only always. So I'm trying to increasing this value. I'll go here and I'll say this value, say d5, say wks loops dot range of, here I have this d5, I'll say d ampersand inti plus 4 dot value is equal to inti. So let's run this and see. If you go here, in the beginning this will be 0 because I'm not assigned any value here. 0 is less than 5. See, the condition is true. 0 is less than 5. It is going inside. Now it will run, because here I've increased 0 equals 0 plus 1, that will become 1. So inti is 1 now. Now it is going, this inti is 1 now. See, 1 is less than 5. It is true. It will print the value. Then again inti is, this will be but 2 is less than 5. It is true. It is going inside. Now again this is 3. See, it is checking the condition. So till this condition become false. See here, now 5 is less than 5. 5 is actually equals to 5. It is not less than 5. So the condition becomes false. It is coming out and is saying, so 1 2 3 4 5. Let's go back and understand again. See, I told you, if this condition is true, it will execute. If the condition is false, it will come out. Let me make it as 6, hard-coded value directly as 6. Now let's run this. Let me go here, say F8. I told you, if the condition is false, it will come out. So what is this? 6 is less than 5. So this is false. 6 is actually greater than 5. If you go here and check, see, it is coming out without executing. Let me change this to inti. This loops, this is one way what we can work. Let me copy this and I'll delete this. Delete this space as well. This condition I can also check in the end. See here, in this program I'm checking the condition here. But suppose if you want to check the condition, sometimes I can check the condition after the program as well, that is in the end as well. So here I'm checking the condition in the beginning, here I'm checking the condition in the end. The difference between this and this is, in this case the condition is true, then only it will enter the statements. In this case, at least one time the code is executed, here the statements are executed, and then it will check the condition. Depending on this condition, whether it is true or false, then only the next loop happens. Otherwise it will come out. So if there are any scenario where I need to execute the statement at least once, then I should use do loop while. I'll use this do while when the beginning itself I have to check the condition and then execute the codes depending on the condition. Now let's run here. See, I'll run this. So here it will print 1. Now it is checking the condition. If it is true, then it will go inside. See, it will execute, it will come out. Let's take the same example. I'll make it as false here. Let me delete this. See, in this program, when I made this 6, it is not executing, it is coming out. But if you go and check this, I made it as 6. Now if I run this, see, once it will run, it is running once, but it is coming out as soon as it finds it is false. Let me make it right. This is do while. Let me work on do until. Let's take the same code. I'll just paste it here. This will become until. Until this will be do. Here this will also change to until. See, do until the condition, if this is false, then only it will work. Now let me go here and I'll make it as greater than. Let's execute this. See, I made a do until this condition will become true. If the condition is false, then only it will work. See, I'll go here. This is 0. 0 is greater than 5, which is actually false. It will go inside. See, it will keep running. So once the condition becomes false, see here it says 5 is greater than 5, which is false. It will come out. See, oops, 6. See, it's coming out. See, let me show it again. Let's run this. It says 5. Sorry, 5 is greater than 5. Again, it is false. So what it is doing? It is still running. Now this becomes 6 here. See, the next cycle it says 6 greater than 5. It is true. It is coming out. That means the condition what you see here, if this condition is false, then only it will execute. Otherwise, it will come out of the loop. Let me make this one as true in the beginning only. See, I'll make 6 is greater than 5. Let me clear this. Then let me execute this. See, it is true. It is coming out in the beginning only. Same thing like what we had in do while. Here also we'll have same thing. See, this condition I can use in the end like this. In this case as well, this code will execute once and then it will check the condition. Let me run this. See, it will execute once. See here, the next it goes on until the condition becomes true. See, 6 is greater than 5. It is come. Let me delete this. Let me put 6 here, which is actually a true statement. Now let me execute this. See, it will execute once. Whether the condition is true or false, it is not bothered. Once it will run and then it will come. It's coming out. See, so do while and do until actually works based on the conditions. For loop works based on the count. Now let's talk about exit statement. Exit statement, what is this? Sometimes what will happen, see here, I had 5,000. If I run this, see, it is running 5,000. I don't want to run 5,000, but I have a scenario where I need to check 5,000 times, but I don't know there is a value which is somewhere in the middle. I have to stop if it is finding that value. I don't want to execute complete 5,000. So what I was trying to tell is, I have 500 items. I don't know where the item is. Once the item is found, just stop it instead of looping 5,000 times. So for that, we have something called as exit far. What this exit far will do? Let me copy this and we'll take a separate program here. I'll make it as exit far. Let me go here. I'll say exit far. If you put this exit far, what will happen? It will stop the program. See, it will stop. It will stop the loop. That's all. It will come out. Let's run again. See, it is running once and it is exiting the loop without going further. But what I want is, I want to execute this, but it has to exit when it is finding 100. Then in that case, I'll go here and say if int I is equals to 100, then exit file. See, I given one code here saying if int_i equals 100, then exit. So I don't have to go till this 5000. So I don't have to execute this 5000 times. Let's assume that this 100 is my product which I found, then it has to come out if it is there. Let's go here. See, it will run 100 times, but once it is 100, it will come out. See, it will not execute further. Suppose if this is not there, let me comment this. If I run this, see, it will run 5000 times. So if you want to restrict, or say if you want to stop at some point of time, then you can use this exit file. Same thing we have for do loops as well. Suppose, let me take this, let me remove this, exit do. So here we don't have the exit do for separately for while or until. This exit do is similar for both do while and do until. Let me go here. I'll say exit do. See, if I run this code, it will check the condition. It will execute this statement. See, it is coming out. That is by printing. Now I want to exit this. Say I have this 5, or let me make it as 50. I want to exit this once it is, say, int I is 10. Now what I'll do, I'll go here, I'll say if int I equals 10, then exit do. Let me save this. F8, see, it goes on, and let me run this. As soon as it is 10, it will exit the two loops. So these are some of the loops what we have. Okay, so again I'll summarize. For loop, do while, do until. For loop will loop based on the count. Do loops, loops based on the conditions. In do loop we have two types, that is do while and do until. Do while will actually execute when the condition is true. Do until works if the condition is false. So these are the loops what we have, and this can be used for any statements here, any program. So whatever programs you have learned till now, if you want to repeat that multiple times, then you can use this looping concept, and you can put those instructions inside, and then you can work on that. In this session, we'll try to understand how this worksheet module and workbook module works. Till our previous sessions, we were actually working on the standard module, where I used to write a program and execute it by pressing F5 or assign the macro to a button. But now what you see here, the worksheet module and workbook module will have something called as events, which will help me in executing this program. That means if you want to execute a program, so I don't have to go and press F5 or assign the macro to a button. There's something called as event. Event is nothing but an action which will trigger the program so that it will run based on my requirement. So for example, I'm selecting something, the program has to run. If I'm deleting something, the program has to run. So these are actually called as events. So depending on the event where I'm writing the program, the macro, or say the statements what we've written, will get executed. Now the question comes, what is the difference between a standard module and the other modules? It is just about the execution. In standard module, I'm writing a program. It is getting executed by pressing F5 or assigning to a button. But in sheet module or workbook module, the programs run automatically based on the events. Now, what are the difference between the programs what we write in standard module and worksheet module? There is no difference between the programs what we are writing. It is only about the execution which happens. That is how the programs are running. Okay, fine. So let's say I'll go to this editor and I'll show you. See here, I have some programs which I've already written, and this will be shared with you so you can work on this. And also I'll show you how we can use this sheet modules to create a dynamic chart, something like this. See, when I click on this, the chart should get updated like this. So we'll work on one example like this. This is by using sheet modules. Let me close this, and then we'll start understanding the sheet module, workbook module, and then I'll walk you through how to create those kind of say dynamic charts. Let me create one sheet. I'm working in the same file itself. Let's say worksheet model. Let me save this. Say Alt F11. See this? I have two different modules which we have written, that is for loops and say do loops. But when I'm using sheet module, I'll not go to this say standard module. So what I'll do, let me close this. What I have to do is, here I have this sheet, any of these sheets. Let's take this worksheet module only. I'll just copy this and I'll paste it here. I'll say enter, close. I will double click on this. I'll get one code window. This is nothing but the sheet module. I have two drop downs here. If you go and click on this drop down, see, I'll get an object, and here I have one more drop down where I'll get the events. So how to get these events? Let me go here and I'll just click on this worksheet. See, I'll get one code. Along with that, I'll get few events here. So these are events. I was telling you, events are nothing but it's an action which will help us in triggering the program. Now if you go here, it says selection change. This is a event. Now when you go back, and if I click on something like this, that means this is selection change from here to here. See, let me go back. How this program will execute? Let's check. See, if I'm clicking on this, the system or say the program should know that where am I clicking. So for that, we have a parameter which says target. Target is nothing but where I am clicking like this. See, let me go back. Here I'll say message box target.row. Let me click anywhere. This program will get executed automatically. Let me click here. See, it says 5. That means row number 5. Let me write program like this. I'll make it as row number so that it will be easy for me, whether it is row number or column number or whatever. Copy this. Here I'll say column number and I'll say target.column, which will give me the column number. Let me copy this. Let's say I want to get the address. I'll say address and here I'll say target.address. See, I'm just showing you how this selection change works. All this code will get executed automatically. Let's say I want to get the value. Suppose if I have a value inside this, if you want to get the value of this cell, then I'll say message box, say get value ampersand target dot value. See, first it will give me the row number, then column number, then address, then the value inside that cell. Let me go back. Let me type here ITAS. I'll say enter. See what will happen. See, as soon as I say enter, it is trying to select this cell. It says row number is 6, column number is 4, address is D6. What is the value inside this cell? Nothing. It will give blank here. Okay. Now let me click on this now. See, row number is 5, column number is 4, address is D5, and then it will give me the value ITAS. That means selection change will automatically execute the program as soon as I do any selection within that sheet. And the code what we have written will run only within this code. It will not run in any other sheet. See, if you go to this sheet, if you click, nothing will work. If you go here, if you click, see, automatically the code will start working. But guys, make sure that you are writing this program only if it is required. Otherwise, wherever you click, the program will be keep getting executed. Let's go back. Let's try to write one program to add two numbers. like we have done this in the previous session. So what I'll do, I'll say dim int num1 as integer, dim int num2 as integer, and we'll say dim int total as integer. I'm just trying to write the same program what we've done in our previous session. I'll say int num equals wks sheet module dot range of, let's take the value in d5 only. I'll copy this, paste it. I'll say d6, enter. Here we'll say int total equals int num1 plus int num2. That is, I have the total. Now to put this total, let's say I'll put this in d7. The same program what we've written in our previous sessions. I'll say int total. I've written this program previously. When I was writing the program in our standard module, I used to press F5 to execute this code. Now let's go back. See what I'll do here. First, throw error because this is a value, this is a text. See 100. I'll say, see, you go here and do anything. You see, any value if you change, automatically it is changing, because when I'm actually typing something and say press, that means the selection is getting changed. See, this is for selection change event. Let me save this. Now guys, don't think that I can copy this, I can paste it here and I can make it as 2. You cannot do this. The reason is this is actually inbuilt event, so this has to be like this only. And again, one more thing is don't type these things. Automatically you will get that. Say for example, now I want one more event, so I don't have to go and type this. Just select, let's say I want to run an event based on the double click. Click on this, double click. See, automatically I'll get this double click. Let me copy the same program. Now I don't want this to run on selection change. I want to run this program based on this double click. Let me comment this. I'll put this code here. See, now it says double click. Now if you go and do the selection change, see, it will not run because I have mentioned it as double click. Now let me double click anywhere on the screen. See, it will run. Let me delete it. See, double click, it will run. But when I'm double clicking, can you see that it's going to edit mode? I want that to be stopped, so it should not go to edit mode, but it has to give me the result when I double click. So for that, what I'll do, I'll go here and I'll say cancel equals true. Can you see this? I have one more parameter here, cancel. If I say cancel equals true, that means the editing mode will not enable. See, I just double click somewhere here. See here, the single click won't work. Double click, can you see that I didn't go to edit mode? Let me change this. Let me double click. See, it's the same value what I'm getting. See, let me change, double click. It is not going to edit mode. Let's go here. Let me copy this code and I'll comment this. We'll take one more event. Let's say right click. I don't want this to work based on double click or selection change. See, I have this right click. Before right click, I'm pasting the code, the same code. Now if you go and check this, see, double click won't work and selection change won't work. Double click, selection change won't work. Now we are given the code in right click. Now let me right click anywhere on my sheet. See, this will work. Anywhere you click, let me change this. Let me right click. See, I don't want this right click option to come. When I right click, only the result should come. Then what I'll do, I'll go here. Again, I have a parameter cancel here. Just say cancel equals true. Now let me do that. I'll delete this. Let me change the value. See, right click, I'm getting the result, but I'm not getting that right click options. So these are some of the events. So events are nothing but it will help me in executing the say code based on the event what I've mentioned here. I also have some events. Say there are so many events, you can go and you can try out with that. Let me tell you one more event, that is activate. What is this activate? See, I'm in a different sheet. If I'm activating this sheet, then the code will run. Let me put one code here saying message box, you activated worksheet module. See, now I'm in this sheet. This is activated. Let me go to this sheet. Now, if I click this, that means I'm activating this sheet. See, you activated worksheet module. That means the code, whatever I've written here, the instructions, whatever I've written here in this event, that will get executed. I have one more event. Let's say deactivate. Deactivate means when I'm coming out of that program, when I'm coming out of that sheet, the program will get executed. Let's go here. I'll say message box, you deactivated worksheet module. So here, this is for activate and this is for deactivate. Deactivate when it will work when I'm going out of the sheet. Let me go here, click outside. See, you deactivated worksheet module. If you come here, it will execute. Let me save this. So these are the events what I have in sheet module. There are some more. If you want, you can go and check one by one and you can practice it. But in brief, whatever events I have, depending on that event, the codes what I've written here, it will get executed. And for your information, any program you can write in these events and then you can execute it. It's not that I have to write only this code. See here I have these loops. If you want to work on these loops, this also I can work there. Okay, you can put that there, automatically it will start working. So sheet module means it will have some events. Events are nothing but the actions which will get triggered by executing the program based on these events, right? Okay, next is workbook module. Similar to this, we have something called as workbook module. So what is that workbook module? Workbook module is again a kind of module where it will have events which is related to the entire workbook. What we have for the sheet, say selection change, right click. So similarly for workbook also I have some events which are like when I open a workbook, what should happen? When I close a workbook, what should happen? When I save the file, what should happen? Let's go and check. Let's go here and I'll disable these two events because it will be keep executing, and I'll stop this. I go here, I'll say double case main sheet. Okay, let's assume that whenever I open my workbook, this sheet should get opened. Let's go here. I will rename this. Fine. Now let's go to the workbook module. So how to go to workbook module? Here I have this workbook. Double click on that. When I double click on that, I'll come to this workbook module. Now here, go to this drop down. Here I have this workbook. Automatically it will give me workbook open. So open is an event. That is workbook open is an event where the program will get executed once I open the workbook. And this is the first macro which will get executed as soon as I open the workbook. So what I can do here, say for example, I'll go here. I want to activate this sheet whenever I open the workbook. Let's say I'll go here, I'll say WKS loops. I'll save this file. Let me close this. When I'm opening this, let's say I'll open this file, see worksheet, there is that online session 5. Let me open this. It is opening in this WKS loops only. But what I have to do, whenever I open, automatically it should open with WKS main sheet. Let me put one shape here so that it will be easy for me to recognize that sheet. I'll make it as home page. Let me increase this. I'll make it center. Right. Let's assume this is my home page. Whenever I open the workbook, it should get opened in this page only. Wherever I have saved, say if I'm saving here, when I'm opening, it should open with this page only. So how to do that? Let's say Alt F11. I'll go here. I'll say wcase main dot active. That's all. So what it will do? It will go to this code. If there are any event that is workbook open, it will go to this and execute all the codes I've written here. Let me save this and I will close this. Let me open this file. See, if I open this file, see, though I had saved in worksheet module, it is opening in wcase. Let's go here. See, this is the code. Now, next what I'll do is, I want to hide this grid lines as soon as it is opening the workbook, and the headers and the screen, whatever is there, that should become full screen, and this formula bar also should not be visible. These things actually we work in the dashboards. Suppose if you guys are actually interested in learning dashboards or working on dashboards or automations or reporting techniques, 30th of this month, 7 to 8, there is one session where you can just attend that. I'll be showing you a lot of different kind of dashboards or automation techniques or reporting techniques. So these concepts, what I'm telling, this is actually used mostly in our dashboards, reportings, and automations. This workbook module, I'm just telling you in this session so that you'll have an idea that whenever I'm creating a template, so it has to be very nice to see, or instead of again and again doing all this manually, hiding all these grid lines or the headings, how to automate that. That's what I'm just trying to show you guys. But in depth, this will be covered in our dashboard sessions. People who are actually continuing the dashboard sessions, they'll have more inputs on this workbook and worksheet modules. Now what you're doing is you're just getting the awareness of it, that how these say worksheet and workbook module works. Along with that, I'm just trying to teach you some of the options or say events available in that. Let's say Alt F11. I want to hide the grid lines, headings, formula bars, and also it has to be full screen. How to do that? First we'll say application dot display full screen equals. So what this will do, it will display the Excel sheet or say Excel workbook in full screen. Then next, I want to hide the grid line. Say active window dot display grid lines equals false. Then active window dot display formulas equals false. Then I'll say active window dot display headings equals false. So what this will do, it will hide the grid lines, it will hide the headings, and also it will hide the formula bar. Along with that, I given full screen. So what will happen is the complete screen will become full screen. That application will become full screen. Let me go back. Save this. So let me go here. I'll save this in loops. I'll close the workbook, and now let me open the workbook. What we have written. See, can I say this? It becomes full screen. No grid lines, no headings, no formula bar. If you want, you can hide these sheet tabs as well. So for that, a simple code is as I'll go here. I'll say active window dot display workbook tabs equals false. Now if I run this, see, as I told you, this will run when I open a workbook. Let me close this. Again, I'll open this. See, the sheet tabs are also gone. So this is how I'll be using workbook module. Fine. Let me make it as true here. Otherwise, it will be keep hiding this. It will become difficult for us to work. Next is, suppose if I'm doing some changes. Let's say I'll type something here, and we'll say welcome to IT's online class. I've typed something here. Let me try to close this. Can you see here? I'm getting one intimation saying that you have done some changes. So should I save this or cancel it or don't save? I'll say escape. I'll not save this file. What I want this template to happen is, whatever changes I'm doing, when I'm closing, it should not ask anything. It should just close automatically, either it should save the file or it should not save the file, but it should not ask me anything. Let's assume that this is a template where I need to close the file by forcefully saving it. It should not ask me anything, just save and close whatever it is. So in that case, what I have to do is I'll be using an event called as before close. So before close, what should happen? I'll say this workbook. That means the workbook what I'm working, this workbook. So it says this one, this workbook dot close. That means I'm closing. While closing, what should happen? It will ask for save changes. Can you see the parameter? I'll say true. If I say true, say I've done some changes here, I didn't save this, and I added some code also here, and I've not saved this. Let me close this. See, I'm trying to close this. See, it didn't ask any question now saying that whether I have to save or not. It closed the file. Now let's go and check whether the text what we have typed is saved. Enable. See, it is saved. That means it is forcefully saving and it is closing without asking me anything. Let's say Alt F11. If I make this false, so what will happen is it will close the file. It will not ask me anything, but it will not save the file. So when this can be used, when I have a template, say let's keep it as two templates. One template I want to close such a way that whatever changes the user has done, it has to save if he's forgetting to save. One more template is used only for viewing. That means I just want to see it. I don't want to edit anything. I don't want to save any changes made in that. So in that case, I can use false here, wherein the user will try to close the file, but it will not save. But what if the user say save and then close? Again, the purpose is waste. So suppose if I give false here, and before closing you'll hit save, and then if you close, what will happen? It will save the file and it is not asking anything, it is closing, but still the changes made will be saved. So how to avoid the user to save the file? So what I have to do is just go here. I have an event for that. Say before save. So what should I do here? You don't have to write any big code for this. If you want to avoid people to save the file, just say cancel equals true. That's all. So this event, whatever is there, the before save, it will take care. Now if I hit Control S, it will not save. Even this code is not saved. We'll go here. We'll give a message to the user saying that save option is disabled. Now let me click on this, or say hit this Control S. See, save option disabled. You cannot save. This code is also not saved. If I close this without saving, this code will be lost, because from this point what I've written the code, the file is not saved. Okay, so you can avoid the save option by giving this one, and you can give this option so that forcefully it is saving or not saving the file without asking any intention and closing the file. Okay, let me just comment this so that I'll not delete, and if you want you can refer this. I'll say now I can save it because this code is not running. So this is what we have in our sheet modules and workbook modules, the events, right? Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just close this file and we'll take one simple dashboard. I'll say some dynamic chart which I showed you here. I showed you. Okay, so if you go to this WKS report sheet, see I have made one template here, one table, and one chart is available here. So when I click on this, see the chart is getting updated. So how to work on this? This is just a simple code what we have written, very simple code by using sheet module, and we have created this. Okay, so here I have a template and I'm just trying to click on this. I'm getting a chart like this. Okay, how to work on this chart, that I'll show you. See, first let's see what all things are there in this. So first, this worksheet module, I've written the code. Here I have a template. Then here I'm generating one tick mark and I'm highlighting the selected row and then making it bold so that wherever I click, the cell will become bold, it will get highlighted, and a tick mark is available in this cell. So this is what we have to do now. Okay, how to do this? I'll show you. Let me close this file. I have one sheet which I'll be sharing this with you, which has got the same table. Okay, so what I've done is I've created two sheets. One is WKS report, one is WKS data. And here, if you go to this WKS data, here I have one placeholder wherein I can use it for plotting my chart. Let's go back. First step, what you do is just copy this manually, and I'll paste it here. Paste as values. It's just an hard-coded values which is getting pasted here to create the chart. Let's create one chart. So chart what I've used is the column chart. Let's go here, say insert. I'll take this column chart. Let me place it here. Now for this data, what we'll do is right click, select data, and I will select this range and say OK. See, I'm getting this data. The chart is actually referring this area because I want the chart data to be in a separate sheet. It will be easy for me to plot this. Let me format this a bit. We'll make it bold. If you want, you can change the color of it. So how to change the color? So right click. Here I'll get this. Say change this color. Suppose if you want to increase the length of this, say here we'll go and say format data point, and here try to reduce the gap so that the thickness will become more like this. Fine. Now what you have done is you have created one chart that is like hard coded. Now when I click here, the chart should get updated. How to do that? First, let's understand the logic. See here, now I've hard coded, I've copied this data and I've pasted here in this data sheet. I'm getting this chart. Now next what I'll do is let me copy this and I'll paste it here. See, when I paste it here, just go here, see, this chart will get updated. That means whatever data I'm copying here and I'm pasting here in this sheet, this chart is getting updated. So this is the simple logic. What we'll do is now we'll do the same thing through code and we'll see how to dynamically copy this and paste it and highlight the cells and give a tick mark. Okay, fine. Let's say Alt F11. Here, go to this sheet module, that is WKS report. Double click on this. I'll come to the sheet. Select the worksheet. Here I'll get this selection change. This is the event what I'll be using for creating this dynamic chart. Now first what we'll do, we'll take two variables. One is to track which row number I've clicked, which column I've clicked. Say dim, and I'll say intr as integer, dim intr c as integer. See, one is for row, one is for column. Now let's take the value intr equals target dot row, intc equals target dot column. So what this will do, it will give me the row number and the column number, right? The next step what we should do is let's copy the data where I've clicked. That means this row, if I click here, I should copy this row and I have to paste it in this placeholder so that this chart will get updated. So for that, how I'll do, first thing is I've tracked which row I'm actually selecting. I'll go here, I'll say WKS report dot range of, we'll copy the data from column E. Let's go back, I'll say column E, but row number will be dynamic, that is I'm getting it from intr dot, I'll use a resize so that from this point how many rows, how many columns I'm copying. When I say resize, see again I'll show you, it says row size, I'll say I'm copying one row, comma column size, I'll say how many columns, 1 2 3 4 5, I'll say 5 dot copy. So what this will do, if I go here, click on this, can you see that it is copying, and you can see that mark Q, that means it is copying this row. Now I need to paste it in WKS data sheet, that is in D8. So here WKS data dot range of D8 dot pay special, Let's paste it as values. Now if you go back and click on this, see, can you see that the chart is getting updated? That is because it is copying and it is pasting here. But the problem is when I click here, see, when I click outside, it is copying this data as well. That is in this row, because we are not restricted the row. See, if we click here, it will just go and it will copy this. So what we'll do is we'll try to restrict this. How to do that? Next is we'll try to restrict the access for the rows which are outside the table. Here I'll say if intr is less than 6th row, that is if it is less than 6, or intr is greater than 10, that is greater than this row, then exit sub. That means this will exit the code if it is less than 6 or if it is less than 10. Now if I'm clicking somewhere here, see, in any of the columns the code is running. I don't want this to happen. It should run only when I click on this column D. So for that I'll use one more code. I'll say if intc is not equal to 4, then exit sub. See, now this will work only when I click on this column. Now when I go and click outside, this code will not run, because I've restricted saying that if it is greater than 10 or less than 6, it should not run. See, fine. Now we are copying and pasting. Now we are getting this dynamic chart. But if it is highlighted, or say if it is becoming bold, so it will be easy for me to know that which row I have selected. So for that, what we'll do, we'll write some more codes here. So first we'll put, say, copy data and paste in WKS data sheet. Next, what we'll do, we'll see how to make this table bold. So what I'll do, I'll go here, make the row selected bold. Suppose if I select this row, then this has to get bold. Now I'll take the same thing what I used for copy, because this is the row what I'll be copying. The same row, I'll put it here, and I'll say dot font dot bold equals true. So what this will do, it will make the selected row bold. We'll take it from column D. I'll make it as D here, and here I'll increase this to 6, so that even this cell also will become bold. Now when I execute this, see, it is becoming bold. But the problem here is the bold with the previous one selected is not getting unbold. So for that, what I'll do is I'll go here. Before making it bold, I'll remove the bold, say report dot range of from D6 to I10 dot font dot bold equals false. See, now if I click on this, first what it will do, it will remove the bold from this table, and then it will make it bold for the row which I have selected. See, like this. Next is we'll see how to highlight the selected row. Let me copy this and I'll paste the same code, but here I'll say shade the row selected. That means let's shade it. Now what I'll do is here I'll change this to interior dot color equals RGB. This is to change the color. Say interior dot color RGB. I'll say 255, 255, 255. So what it will do, it will change the color to white, because if I click on this, what will happen is if this gets shaded, the next row, if I click, that also will get shaded. So what we have to do, first we have to remove the shading, and then we have to apply shading for the selected row. Now let's go here. For this also, I'll just copy the same thing. I'll just selected row. We'll make it like this. But here, let's try to change the RGB color for this row. So for that, what we have to do, first we'll go and check the RGB color. Say for example, I want to shade this color, but I don't know the RGB color. Let's go here. Say more colors. It says 252, 228, 214 is my RGB color for the color what I've selected. It is 252, 228, 214. Same thing we'll mention here. Say 252, 228 and say 214. Okay, now let's go back and click on this. See, it is getting shaded like this. Done. Now the next step is I want to have the tick mark. If you want to give the tick mark, what I'll do is I'll go to this insert, and here I have symbol, and I have something called a symbol here. Here, go and find, say, wingdings. If you go to this font wingdings, here you'll have so many icons. So you can select any icon you want, but for me, I need the tick mark. I'll go here, see, I'll have this tick mark, select this, I'll say insert, say close. This tick mark, I'll copy, see, I'll just copy this, and I'll try to paste it here, so that whatever the cell I've selected, that should get the value of tick mark. Okay, now I'll say WKS report dot range of D ampersand INTR dot value equals this value. That is, this is the character. Now if I click here, see, I'll get the tick mark. But what is happening is the previous one what got selected is not getting cleared. So I have to clear this. So for that, what I'll do, I'll go here, I'll say WKS report dot range of D from 6 to 10, say D6 to D10 dot clear contents. Now what will happen, see, when I click on this, it will clear the contents, and then it will give me the value. See, now if you go and click any of this, it will become very dynamic, because it is copying this data and it is pasting in my WKS data sheet, and here the chart what it is getting plotted, see, it looks very nice like this. Now if you can see, there is some flicker happening. So if you want to avoid that, what I can do is somewhere in the beginning, I'll say application dot screen updating equals false. Now let me run this. See, to a certain extent it will reduce the flickering like this. Let me save this. So like this, I can create dynamic charts, or I can do so many other things by using this sheet modules. Okay, so you can still try on various other kind of charts, or selecting this by using selection change, or there are more other events here. Here you can use these things, and you can work on sheet modules to get something similar to these kind of say tasks, or say options.